Our guest for today is Ms Thabiso Hadebe, who is a transformational speaker, qualified NLP practitioner, and a passionate life coach. She's dedicated her life to guiding individuals and parents through painful life transitions. She's a mother of two and a believer in Jesus Christ. Yes, welcome to season 2. We made it. Thank God, thank Jesus that we are finally here. We've decided to take a different route for season 2. We want to focus more on the mental health aspect. So we've rebranded a bit. We've changed the name here and there. So now this is called A Safe Place to Land, because this is where we explore human emotions and talk about God's love for all humanity, and that He cares for us when we are going through struggles and pain. So thank you so much, Thabiso. Welcome to the Safe Place to Land.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, Zanele. And I'm so honored to be sitting right next to you, something that started as an Instagram DM.
Yes.
But I believe that with everything else that happens in life, there's nothing that is random. So this moment was orchestrated by God, and I'm so honored to be sitting right next to you.
Yeah. And we are believers. We are believers. We believe in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. We trust in the faith that He has given us. He is our faith.
Yes.
And so in this platform, we are definitely going to explore human connections, especially emotions, because I feel like within the church, not to discredit anyone, but what I've experienced within the church, there's no room for emotions.
Yes.
You know, you kind of have to be this robotic person who takes in what the Bible says, but sometimes we want to do that, but we struggle to be able to live out, you know, the things that we are reading in the Bible. And it's not because we are bad people, but it's because we are people who are going through struggles.
Yes.
And pain is something else. Pain can really make a person blind, you know. So today I really want us to dive deeper into human emotions, you know, your experiences also as a life coach, and also getting to know you, you know, what brought you into this space, because we know a lot of Black people don't do this.
We don't.
So, yeah, let's start off with the simple questions, you know. Just tell me more about yourself. Where did you start as a life coach?
So my struggles actually brought me to bring in the solution for the problems that I experienced in my own season of pain. So I was a technician for 14 years at a company, working nicely there up until pain decided to reboot my path to actually putting me on another path that I call it's a purposeful path, because I'm serving the person that I was 3-4 years back.
Okay, so what is life coaching?
Life coaching is a guide. I act as someone who actually throws in the rope and pull you out of whatever misery you find yourself in. In terms of my niche, as in the parent, I actually help you to parent in a way that you do not dim your child's light. You actually connect more with the child, because the most struggles is that we want to correct children before we connect with them. So I conscientize you on how you show up as a parent. That has got a very big impact on a child. So I give you the tools, I give you the strategies that which will now make the parenting a little bit better than what we grow up in terms of experiencing. So a coach is someone that conscientize you on certain things that are happening in life, and actually giving you the steps to can actually
strategies,
moving you from one point to the next. But first you need to be knowing where exactly is it that you want to go.
And so I believe that, just listening to you speak right now, talking about parenting, I really believe that in order to be, a healthy parent, you have to be a healthy individual.
Yes.
So would you say that your work when you are helping parents is actually about them more than it is about the child?
That is true. You're actually parenting yourself. You parenting yourself because most of the struggles you see or the things that trigger you with your child are the things you haven't yet healed or you're not comfortable with in terms of yourself. So the parenting part, it has got more to do with certain parts that which you must address as a parent. So mostly I'm helping the parent be okay with certain things that which may trigger them when their children are right in front of them. Because once you deal with self, you start to pick up that even the things that were of concern with the child, all of a sudden they are no longer a problem because you now show up as a parent who understands. You receive them with empathy instead of now wanting to solve a problem before you can actually know what causes the problem.
I think going back to what you said in the intro, you said that it was your pain that drove you to where you are now as a life coach. I think let's dive deeper into that pain.
Okay.
If you can tell me more about your marriage, how long were you married for?
The marriage, I was married almost 6, going to 7 years, but I was with my partner almost 14 years. So almost a high school sweetheart because I met my husband right after I completed matric, dated him, and then, my marriage was beautiful. Growing up with someone, and I also believe only now I can say, you get into marriage and you are not told that marriage is like a car. It needs someone who knows how to drive it. 6 years down the line, we started having problems in my marriage. Actually, when those problems start, they start being little things that which you can just say, it's just nothing. All of a sudden it grows. One, my husband owned taxis. He ran his own business. The first one, he bought it, and only to find that the interests were very high. Struggled to pay it. There was the second one, which he got scammed. My husband ended up leaving in the house because I started to be the wife that is horrible. I would shout because honestly, we were not designed to carry the load of having to serve or be the ones that provide. Be it when those seasons come, you may try. I tried. I think I did that for over a year. People didn't know that my husband wasn't working because I did almost everything. But now, only there's certain problems that keep on rising, I would do those things at an expense of I would do them, but I could clearly feel that I was slowly being drained by now all the responsibilities that I've taken. One, I would hear my husband when I ask, aren't you going to look for a job anymore? He'd say that people are going to laugh at him. And rightfully so. For someone who has built a business from scratch, the business dies. All that's in his mind is that I'm a failure. So again, only now I'm a coach, I can safely say, I wish I knew how to speak to that version of him who now suffers low self-esteem, shame for a business he built scratch, and then all of a sudden, years later, he lost due to the different dynamics that contributed. I would instead complain because the load that I was carrying, it made me a woman that's now starting to be frustrated by the dynamics of the marriage now. I would want to be seen. I remember afterwards saying that, I wish you could just tell me that I see you. I see how hard you're working to keep this home going. But I would struggle to get such
you
words.
Get to that place because of your own emotional space. And also, when you talk of the shame, it's the shame that he was carrying. is the roles that society has kind of put on us
Yes.
as people. That, as a man, this is what identifies you. You
Yes.
need to provide. And I think most men really do struggle when they are not able to live up to that standard. And most of us, we don't even know how to show up for that version of them,
Yes.
just as you said, And where there is shame, there is blame. So while he was feeling shame, you on the other side were projecting the blame. And it's not only you. It's something that I have done also in my marriage. Because sometimes we really we don't know how to articulate the actual thing that is happening inside.
Yep.
And so all that we can do is scream and shout because that's what we saw growing up. Our own parents were screaming and shouting. They were never able to say, I'm hurt. I'm just lost in this. I don't know how to deal with it. Can you help me?
Sure. That is so true. That is so true. Yeah. It was so much to such an extent that I, for one, I remember very well that he ended up leaving the house because I did not meet with a person that leaves you. You think he leaves because he doesn't love you.
No.
Only to find that this person, there's a need that I can't meet. And with a need that I, as Thabiso, can't meet, it is because I don't have the capacity, or I'm not capable of meeting whatever needs he has, as in some of them are needs that are not communicated. So him leaving, he went to a place where he was going to be accepted for who he was, not for what he can provide.
Yeah.
Because as a wife that's been married with someone for a certain period of time, I got to a point whereby I had to now reverse and think, I started looking at my husband through the lens of his bank balance, through the lens of him being able to give me certain things, whereas during those seasons he couldn't. So now what does it do? It changes the way I receive him as a husband. So now that contributed to him ending up leaving our home to go and be with someone else. So yeah, when he was out of the house, that is when I really, really found myself crying to God and saying, why me? I thought I was your favorite child. And again, looking at the fact that my husband and I were considered one of those people who inspired a lot of people to get married. So now I also had to now hide from a lot of places I used to go to. Firstly, it was the shame of being asked now and again, where's your husband? And normally when people ask, I
How do
only
you
understand
respond?
it now. At first, I would say, my husband is there. But deep down, these people were looking at you and thinking,
They already
we
knew.
just saw your husband. Yes. So I got to a point whereby I got tired of lying. Whereas deep down, after answering that question, inner man speaks. Your conscience tell you, Taibo, you don't even remember the last time you saw him. But here's someone who asks you, where's your husband? And you say, Ukona. So I got to a point whereby I got tired of pretending. I got tired of lying, not only to myself, but the people whom I would now meet every now and again. And looking back, those people will ask you, knowing very well where he is. So the day I decided to tell the truth of what I was going through, I felt a load off my shoulders.
Yeah. I think Jay, just let's revert back a bit because I really want to go into that season of your husband being gone.
Yes.
It's a dream.
Hey.
We don't only dream of just having our husband in the household. We dream of having them there when our kids grow older, for graduation, when your child is sick,
Yes.
and you're not dealing with that by yourself. When the house is leaking and you can say, oh my God, there's a leak here. You don't have to deal with that by yourself. What was going on there inside of you? What was going on?
Yeah, I tried putting on the brave. Yeah, that character, which I can hold this thing, but I got tired. I got tired in such a way that there were days. I remember the first few days I found out he was actually with someone else. I think I spent over 7 days without even going out, opening my house, and I'd just be in bed up until a friend of mine came to say, no, this can't be it. Cried a lot, and I had to question Uguti, who does he think he is, having to do this to me?
After I've done so
Yes,
much.
and you know that thing, Uguti, you look at how your marriage was. There's not even a history of him being someone who
cheats,
who
who
would
steps
put
out.
who steps out, but this one incident will have him leaving what you guys have been building for such a long time. But yeah, understanding ukuthi the only person I can understand is myself and how I respond to certain things. I did the screaming, I did the self-neglect, I did the self-blaming, I did the where are people to can support. I did I don't want anyone to come here and feel sorry for me. I did the hiding, isolating. I did all those things, but I got to a point whereby I missed the life I used to live, as in the person that I was. I understand my personality is out there. I love living out loudly, experiencing life. I stopped doing all those things.
Yeah.
So now, being drained by a situation that which I did not even choose, but I believe it chose me, because life is designed in such a way that it will now and again gift us. I call it it will just throw in stuff at us. And if going through infidelity came my way, now I have to sit there and feel sorry for myself. And at the same time, it's not only Utabi, so there's children as well. You know, seeing myself being afraid of showing up or seeing my children, that was another thing that knocked me off. You can say my children know us as this one beautiful unity, because I would say almost both of them, they grew up with a structure where there's a father and there's a loving mother. A loving in terms of what we have defined in terms of ourselves, experiencing life together. We loved traveling and all those things. So now all of a sudden, I started by hiding as to what I was going through with their father. But I remember one incident where my child said to me, "Ma, you look lonely." And that time, the father was still alive, but he would just see me sitting there and he would constantly ask, "When is Dad coming back? When is that?" I would keep on telling different stories whereby I'd be lying to him so that I preserve the pain that which I'm going through, so that he does not have to go through that. But getting to a point whereby your child can see through your face and you pretending and actually hiding the dynamics of what you are going through. It's another thing that broke my heart. There was a time whereby my children were staying at my mom's place because I couldn't stand looking at them. They look exactly like their father. As I look at them, I'd be reminded of the season I find myself in. So one point, I started journaling in that process. I asked myself the deep question, Uguti, is this how I want my life to be like? Whereby I'm afraid of seeing my own children. I've stopped living. Yes, my husband has decided to go out. But if he has made a decision, Thabiso, what decision are you making? And in that, I pick up, Uguti, our healing or us moving in a different direction, it comes at a speed of a decision, not because someone came and did certain things or it comes at a speed of a decision. And the decision is followed by a responsibility that where I am, it is so painful that I want to actually walk a different path. So deciding and taking full responsibility of where I was and looking at the long-term effects, it means that I would not have a relationship with my children. So I had to force myself to rise, to walk, to show up, shamefully so, in front of the very same people who look at you and laugh at you and actually look at you as a failure. Because when marriage does not flourish, or it fails, just as we consider it when two people go their separate ways, you are the ones who go out there and have to now face the very same people who look at you as a person who couldn't hold this beautiful thing that is marriage, whereas someone else decided on your behalf. In my case, my husband is the one that decided, and I had to live in with the consequences of someone else's decision. But in that, I discovered that I'm also having the responsibility to choose what is best for you now that your husband chose something else. What is best for me is to pick myself up, is to force myself to walk and do whatever. I made my healing a non-negotiable, because it means that how I was is now impacting how my children's lives are going to be. So this thing was so painful to such an extent that when I look at the long term, it was going to be horrible. So now it made me want to pursue or walk a different path, because there's also my children's lives at stake.
Yeah, I think also I want us to talk about the infidelity, because I think that's just one of the things that really crush the human spirit. And from my own learnings, I now know that it's not just the act of infidelity that really crushes a person, but it's our own feelings of how we identify ourselves. Because when a person cheats, it really has nothing to do with you. Okay, if we're really honest and we are looking at it logically, when my husband decides that I'm going out of my house and I'm approaching another woman that is not my wife, and I'm making plans to go and sleep with that person, you are not involved in that process. Yes. You are a wife, you are your own individual person, and he is his own individual person. Yes. He's carrying himself at that time. He's carrying his own insecurities, his own issues, and he's figuring out, what can I do to help me deal with what is going on? Yes. Now, the issue is when that infidelity happens, and then us as women, or let me just say as a person who is a partner of a person who does the infidelity act, we carry it. It then becomes our identity. And then we say, you cheated on me. Yes. You know, like when he cheated, it's like I lost something. But from what I know, it's not the truth. But the thing is, my feelings tell me that. Yes. My emotions tell me that you took something from me. My emotions tell me that you made a fool of me. Yes. You know, so if you were to be a life coach to yourself in that moment, when you were really struggling with the shame of infidelity, yes, what would you say to yourself?
What would I say to myself? I mentioned earlier, Uguti, the day I decided to show up differently was the day I had to now say, my husband made a decision. And what decision are you choosing, Thabiso? So now I get to a point whereby I check which decision will best suit me in this situation. One, discover who you are outside of this dynamics of your marriage.
Yeah.
Because even that had to come back with him. Who are you? Now, the real identity now comes into the forefront. Before I am Thabiso, I'm a child of God. Before I became a child of God, where do I come from? Who brought me here? I had to speak to, God says we are a spirit. How is that? Does it get affected by things that happen externally? So speaking to the depth of my being.
Speaking deeper than the pain.
Deeper than the pain, you can say, this is an experience it's a human experience. And I'm Thabiso, it's the spirit that lives inside of now this container okunguthi is having this experience of having to go through infidelity. There's a bigger person.
So you would say it's tapping into your
tapping
identity.
into the true identity. There's the lower identity and there's the higher. The lower is the things we identify ourselves that are external. We identify ourselves with marriage, our bank balances, I'm doctor this, our jobs, I'm a mother. Those things are capable of changing. So anything that is capable of changing, that which you may identify yourself with, that is not who you are.
Marriage changes.
Marriage changes. What does God say I am? I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am chosen before someone else decides to reject. And even with the rejection part, I felt I was rejected up until I discovered my real identity. So once you know that God approved of your seed in your conception stage, when you were conceived by your parents, that was the only acceptance you needed. So now when someone else rejects you, even when you need to tap into, hey, kind of when I was conceived, how many sperms were released? Over 5 million or how many? I don't know how many are released. But then, uzanele, you were able to defeat how many zaneles?
Yeah.
So now you can imagine we go around wanting or showing up as lower version, whereas we were conquerors from that moment. So once you tap in who you truly are, in the sense of how you were created or how God approved of your seed when you were born, it actually awakens something inside of you. Because once you allow someone else to reject you, you discount the work that which God has done when he allowed you to actually live through the different, it's not even the only thing you have gone through if you were to look at it. Other people, you find that you struggle even from when you were born. You can be born out of poverty. You will fight through that. And then now there comes marriage. And then we forget, hey, we went through certain stages that proved we are actually much more, or we can actually live through certain things. But how we identify ourselves with this thing is what holds you back from actually walking past through it.
Yeah, I think what you are saying, if I can summarize it in my own words, you spoke about the higher level of identity, that in those times of pain, especially emotional pain.
Yes.
You know, I understand physical pain. There's a room for that. It's painful. It's not okay. But there's also emotional pain, which is almost every human being. Every human being in this life has experienced or is going to experience. And we do not know how to handle it.
Yes.
We don't know how to cope with it because it's pain.
It is.
It shuts everything. It shuts your eyes. It shuts your ears. It shuts your heart. Everything is just dark.
Yep.
You know, and so it's not easy to go into that higher place of identity. It's not easy to do it by yourself.
Yes.
And I think that's the main reason why there's life coaches.
Yep.
That's the main reason why there's therapy, there's counselors, there's therapists, there's counselors. There's people who are trained to help you tap into that higher level
Yes.
of identity when you cannot do it on your own.
That is so true. I wouldn't have survived the season if I have never invested in coaching. Therapist, I tried. For me, it didn't work. And honestly, I can say that because we different strokes. They say
For
different
me, it's working.
Yeah, different. Yeah. And then the gift of having to say, this thing is not working for me, and not decide which that's it, because there's always an alternative.
Yeah.
You may have not picked that up when. So you don't stop at, I have tried. You can never say you have tried it all.
No, that's a good point. Like, that's actually a very important point. A lot of my friends would say, oh, I went to a psychologist and I just didn't, I didn't see anything, or they didn't help me, or I just didn't like the experience.
Yeah.
And then they shut it off completely.
Yes.
So what you are saying right now is there's different strategies. There's different techniques.
Yes.
All these people are working together for one goal, for you to be well inside out.
That is so
and
true.
So when therapy is not working for you, try something else.
Yep.
Be open, pursue this emotional wellness, because it's about identifying the real you without the traumas, without the background experiences, the things that happened when you were a child, when you didn't have control.
Yep.
So when we're going through this emotional healing now, it's you taking back the power. You mentioned earlier on that it's reparenting.
Yes.
You are reparenting yourself so that you can show up as the person you were created to be.
Yep.
I always say for myself, when I started counseling, I was going through my own pain. Hey, guys. Hey, pain, that will take you out. I think the problem with emotional pain is that it doesn't take you out. You're still standing and people think you're okay, but you are in a dark hole. So I was going through my own pain and I didn't know how to cope with it. I didn't know how to cope with the things that were happening in my marriage. I went through postpartum depression, which made me really aggressive. And I started to deal with my anger in an aggressive way, which can never be justified. I don't care what a person does to you. It can never be justified. But that should be a moment to say, oh, I need help.
That is so true.
I need help. And so when I was going through that pain, I reached out for counseling. Mind you, I had done everything that I needed to do that is spiritual. I had fasted. I had done a whole night prayer, many whole night prayers. I had spoken to my pastors. You just want someone to rescue you. You need something that is going to come take you out of the situation. And I remember I had cried out to the Lord. I was like, I'm done. I don't know what to do now. I don't like the person I am. I don't know what to do. And the next day, I would say it's the Holy Spirit. I reached out to SADC, South African Depression and Anxiety Organization, and they referred me to a church where I started my counseling journey. And when I started, I just needed help. That's all I knew. I didn't know how it was going to pan out. I knew that I didn't want to be this person that I currently was at that time. And it took a long time. But from that first session, you speak to someone who is trained, who is going to listen to you.
Yeah.
I think it's just about being heard.
Yes.
And I've done therapy and I'm still going through therapy, and I think I will do it for a lifetime because pain will always come. Unforeseen circumstances will always come. And I'm humble enough to say, I don't know how to cope with them.
Yep.
I need help. And some of the things they've taught me, I'm able to use them.
Yes.
But then sometimes I'm like, it's bad.
Sure.
So, I think you as a life coach, what I'm taking out from what you are saying, oh my God,
Ooh,
this is a big deal.
it
Seriously is
is.
a big deal. When you say that these are all strategies for our healing, for the promise and the gift of healing that has been given to us, to all humanities, not just for believers, to all humanity. When we go for emotional healing, we are tapping into that.
It's true. That is so true. Pain, it becomes too horrible if we don't have the tools. I normally give my clients this example, Oguti. Rain is not a problem for someone who has an umbrella. So if you have the right tools, coping tools, or tools that which you would know, when I start to feel like this is how I respond in a healthy manner. Because there's certain things we do that are not healthy that will keep us or create other problems, such as drinking, retail therapy there's so many things.
Retail therapy.
So now healthy tools to can help you go through. With pain, we grow through it. It needs to be felt. You need to feel your pain. It's like a visitor.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I come, you sit here with me, you feel pain. Once you feel it, it is like that cloud, it dissipates. But then it needs to be given a language. If you don't know how to address that emotion that comes, an intelligent motion that is visiting you, that's when you find that life becomes overwhelming. So when you now have the right tools, the right mindset, maybe that's because why we have so many books here, because even our mindset, the mind, the most beautiful thing that which we discovered now is that our minds can be rewired. They can be molded because our lives are created by patterns. They are created by the stories that which we have assigned to our experiences, not the actual experience. So now if you know that my life is crafted by what I said about my situation, why can't I get help to can actually craft
something
an empowering story? Why can't I be helped to can decide on having to live a life that is I'm not going to hide from because of what I'm going through. So pain needs the relevant tools for you to can be able to brave through it. It's like dancing in the rain when you have now the right tools that which we offer when we give out our sessions.
Yeah.
Yes. And actually having a guide. It's so nice to have a guide or someone who would say, I've been there. Here's the light. I call myself an igniter of hope for radical transformation. Because when I give in the perspective that which I have a pain, most definitely you wouldn't want to be guided by someone who doesn't know how to walk out of a certain situation. A person who was once in a pit is the right person to can take you out because you've already proven being capable. And actually, I can let you do that quicker than I did because it took me being in the right rooms, the right people, doing certain things, reading certain books, attending certain courses. I have compressed all that. And then now it's now a certain session or a program that which I'm selling that which you can take for a few weeks. And then you find yourself starting to feel better quicker than I did because I'm the one who walked blindly, being guided by others. But now I've compressed what I have learned that has helped turn me into the person that I became today, who's empowered enough to can stand boldly and share. The most horrific story is now turning out to be the most glorious, impactful story that which other people can look at and say, if she has done it, we can also do it. So the world becomes better with each and every one person or two people you are able to give hope and actually help them to live better and well. The world becomes a better place even to live in.
Yeah, I think we are going to continue this conversation. What you are saying about pain reminds me of what Dr. Anita usually says. She says this life is about developing a healthy relationship with pain. And so we are going to dive deeper into that conversation. So stay tuned for part 2. We are not done yet.
From things that I can't face, when it all gets too much for me, and I'm lost in my anxiety. And if my heart